to Covering the Fields with your host, Joe Ellison.
Hello, sports fans. Broadcasting from Meredith Hall Studios. Welcome to Covering the Field, the weekly program that analyzes all sports, handicaps them, and makes predictions. I'm your host, Joe Ellison, and today we're going to talk about hockey, racing, baseball, golf, and our You Got Hose segment. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Please give us your feedback, tell us your You Got Hose stories, and visit our coveringthefield.com website daily to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. How are things going today, Gator?
Oh, I'm great, Joe.
What's the latest news in the National Hockey League?
Okay, well, Saturday, Joe, the NHL set a single-day record by scoring 101 goals, and we did have 14 games. Now, there have been 21 incidences where there have been at least 14 games played in a day, but this was the first time all favorites won. And according to Caesars Sportsbook, if you would have parlayed all the teams on a $10 bet, you would have got close to $3,300. Now, most locations will only allow you 8 to 10, but still a nice payout, Joe.
Yeah, William Hill, I don't think I can go more than 8, but you can always try. And then they'll just say, nope, only 8. But still, that would have been a pretty nice hit, without a doubt.
Sure.
So what else is going on?
Well, on Monday, the Seattle Kraken announced that Marshawn Lynch is a minority investor in the franchise. And the CEO said for us, we didn't need additional investor, but what attracted us was his interest in the community activities through this organization. And that is a big deal. Now, Beast Mode will be a part of the NHL's Hockey is for Everyone campaign, but also Macklemore is a Seattle-born rapper, and he also is a minority investor as well.
All right, everybody getting in on the Kraken.
Up in Seattle, yeah, it seems like everybody going up to Seattle.
Yeah, well, hockey's such a great sport. They should get involved, shouldn't they?
Oh, I agree, totally.
Gator, your picks went 9-2 last week. That means your predictions have gone a remarkable 127-42 over the last 20 weeks. That's over 75%.
Right.
What are your picks for the upcoming week?
Okay, Joe. Well, I have 10 picks and I got 2 per day. So on Thursday, my 2 is Florida to beat Detroit and St. Louis to beat San Jose. Now, Friday, I have Minnesota over Seattle and Washington to win against Arizona. Saturday, I have Pittsburgh over Detroit and St. Louis to win over Arizona. Sunday, I have Vegas over San Jose and St. Louis to win over Anaheim. And Tuesday, my last 2, I have Dallas to beat Las Vegas and Washington to beat the Islanders.
I see you took a shot Dallas to beat Las Vegas. Those 2 teams, and I believe another team is also duking it out for the last 2 playoff spots.
Dallas, Vegas, and St. Louis.
Yeah, okay, it wasn't them, but anyway.
Anaheim.
So anyway, it's going to be a heck of a battle either way. So that's going to be a big game. Vegas could very well not make the playoffs.
Well, Dallas has the momentum on this side, I think.
Okay.
That's why I've taken them.
Okay.
But we are talking on Tuesday, so a whole week away. That's what's hard about picking those later rated games. But
yes. Nashville was the other team I was thinking.
Oh, Nashville, yes.
They're duking it out for the playoff spot.
That's correct, though.
Okay. Shifting over to NASCAR. Oh, well, good luck with those picks, by the way.
Oh, well, sure. Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, continue staying on fire. Let's shift over to NASCAR now. What happened last Easter Sunday in Bristol?
Well, Bristol put more than 2,300 truckloads of Kentucky red clay on the half-mile bull ring track. And after 2 rain delays, it was more like Kentucky mud. But the last restart was with 24 laps remaining, and Tyler Reddick was going for his first career Cup win. He led 99 laps and controlled the race from the restart, but lap traffic allowed Chase Briscoe to catch Reddick. And in turn 3 on the last lap, Briscoe dove underneath Tyler, and on turn 4, they both spun out. Now that did give Kyle Busch at 14-1 his 9th career win at Bristol. Now he was sitting 3rd at the time of the leader spinning. Now all 3 manufacturers made the top 3, Joe, Toyota received the win with Kyle. Reddick did put his Chevy in second. And my pick, Joey Logano, put Ford in third.
Yeah, that was 23,000 cubic yards of dirt turn mud on 2,300 truckloads. Then my math tells me 10 cubic yards per truck. And that's quite a bit. That's crazy. And they only do it once a year.
Yeah, I would say so. It'd be kind of crazy to do it more than that.
And this week we got a big one coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday at 12 o'clock on Fox will be at Talladega Super Speedway in Alabama. Now, I like Kyle Larson, Joe, at 14-1, but Chase Elliott and Kyle Busch are the favorites at 12-1.
Most people are going to be looking not so much as who's going to win the race as the big wreck, which is about 95% guaranteed. There's going to be at least one big wreck.
And I think that's why Kyle Busch is up there as one of the favorites, because he's one of those drivers that can get out of those big wrecks. What a driver he is, Joe.
Well, that's good. And he's from Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Not very well liked, but
No.
Certainly an excellent driver. I'm going to take a shot on Ryan Blaney just for the heck of it, and we'll see how that goes. Now, Formula One, back to action this week. Where are they going to be?
Well, they're going to be at Ferrari's home track in Italy. Now on this, I like Max Verstappen. He's at 8-5. Now, of course, your favorite's going to be Ferrari, of course, with Leclerc at a plus 105. But yeah, I'm going to go against Ferrari, Joe.
Okay. The Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, formerly the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola. I don't know how you can go against Ferrari at home, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to make a prediction on that one. I guess if I did, I'd probably go with the Frenchman, Leclerc,
Well, I grew up watching Schumacher win all those races, so I always had to go with somebody else, and I guess I'm going to keep that tradition going.
Okay. And we had some golf news last week.
Yeah, Joe. Jordan Spieth, he made a 10-foot putt for birdie on 18. And he finished at -13 Sunday at the RBC Heritage in Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. Now, the leader to start that last round was Patrick Cantlay, and he had 3 birdies and 1 bogey on 14, but he did finish tied with Spieth in regulation. So they headed back to 19th or back to 18th, Harbor Town signature hole, and Jordan hit his second shot into the greenside bunker about 56 feet away. But his next shot missed by 7 inches. So Spieth went on to earn his par and win his 13th career PGA event. Now, Jordan was at 40-1. So congratulations to whoever had that ticket.
Yeah, Cantlay bogeyed, and that might be a prelude to a You Got Host segment later.
Sounds like one.
Yeah, I think it is. So what's going to be going on next week?
Well, they're going to be down in Louisiana, Joe. The next week is the Zurich Classic in New Orleans. And last year's winner, it's a team event. So last year's winner 2021 was Leishman and Smith, and they were -20, but they did have to have a playoff hole to win. I like Cantlay and Scheffler. They're both 8-1. Now, when I first saw it, they were 10-1. So the public's on them a little bit as well. But the favorite, Joe, is Hovland and Morikawa at 7-1.
Yeah. Yes, the Australians, Leishman and Smith won last year. Cantlay just won. Scheffler just won the Masters.
Yeah.
How can you go against that?
Yeah, it's kind of hard not to.
Yeah, but you're saying Hovland and Morikawa were the favorite.
That's 7-1, and they still are, Joe.
I find that to be a surprise.
Maybe not by the time they play, huh? If everybody going to start jumping on them?
I think Cantlay and Scheffler probably be the ones who go off as the favorite.
You would think. I would think so. I think you're right, Joe.
Gator, did you hear that there is a new sports book coming? There is news about a sports book coming locally?
No, Joe. Tell me what's going on.
Well, you don't know. Oh my gosh. Well, the Circa will be operating a sports book at Legends Bay Casino in Sparks, hopefully by this summer. You think they want to start before football season begins.
Yeah, I would think so.
You would want to get this going by the summer, but Circa already has the largest sports book in the world in Las Vegas. And this one up here, up north, should be a huge one also.
Well, looking forward to it, Joe. Well, it sounds exciting.
Yeah, I'd love to go check it out. Great job, Gator.
Well,
And thank you.
Well, thank you guys, all of you guys. I appreciate being here.
Coming up to the plate now is our final guest and baseball correspondent, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon. How's it going today, Ronnie?
Joe, I'm doing great. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic.
Cool.
What's the news from the second week of the Major League Baseball season?
Well, Joe, we have, I want to talk about Jackie Robinson Day, which happened a week, it'll be a week Friday, coming Friday, April 15th is Jackie Robinson Day. And of course, this is the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson Day. And it's a big deal every year, a lot in LA and of course, still in New York, where he started playing when they were the Brooklyn Dodgers. So one thing that's pretty cool is that the Players Alliance, a nonprofit started by active and retired pro baseball players, announced commitments by players, coaches, and staff to donate their game day salary that day, April 15th, in recognition of the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier. The donations will help the charity launch new programs across the country. So I think that's pretty cool.
Well, that's a great cause.
Exactly.
And that can be a lot of money.
It can be a lot of money. Yeah. Even though it's one game. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's really neat that they're doing that. And another,
Go ahead. Do you have more about Jackie Robinson?
Oh, totally. Yeah,
Oh,
totally.
great.
Yeah. Well, it's, because it's the 75th anniversary anyway. David Price, who now actually pitches for the Dodgers, used to pitch for the Red Sox. They were at Longfellow Elementary School in Pasadena, down in Southern California, that morning, and to read I Am Jackie Robinson to about 500 kids. And he was joined by some former players, but also by the son of Jackie Robinson, David Robertson. And just a couple miles down the road, Mookie Betts was also reflecting on Jackie Robinson's legacy. He was attending John Muir High School, and that's where Robinson played multi-sports and was a star there. And before he enrolled in UCLA. And Betts then unveiled a large mural in honor of Robinson's life. So that's just a lot of really neat stuff. I have a lot of it, but we won't go through all of it. But Rachel, the Jackie's widow, she's going to be 100 here in July. She was there. Also that day, Dave Roberts took everybody out, the team and Jackie Robinson's wife and his son, David, and they went out to center field to see the statue behind the center field wall of Jackie Robinson. Also, I was going to say that given that Robinson played for the Dodgers, right, and started in Brooklyn, they actually and do festivities there in New York, but they do a much larger and more thorough festivities at Dodger Stadium. So it's pretty neat that. Another thing that Dave Roberts, the manager, he wore some customized cleats for the festivities and made a donation to the Players Alliance. And then again, at that time, took the team out to the center field plaza to see the statue. The other thing is, and with David Robinson, there's going to be 42 jerseys all over the ballpark, and everyone in baseball is going to be wearing the blue jerseys with the number 42. It's special, and they do it every year. This year, actually, they're making the blue 42 on all the teams. I heard somebody say something about, that blue 42 doesn't look good on that back of that one uniform because it's, it doesn't go with their colors. But that's just something they decided to do this year is they've always had everybody wears 42, but now they made it blue on everybody's uniform. Also, this is the 25th anniversary when then Commissioner Bud Selig announced that Robinson's number 42 would be retired across Major League Baseball. 10 years after that, in 1997, a decision by Ken Griffey Jr., one of my favorite players, requested and received permission to wear the number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day, and a few other players took part. And in 2009, the practice of every player, coach, and manager wearing number 42 on April 15th became a tradition. So I think that's pretty cool. We did, I think, yeah, we talked about Rachel, Jackie's widow is going to be 100 in July. And there's a bunch of other things that happen. One thing that I want to put out there, because we'll get to the East Coast in New York. You know how the Empire State Building always does special things and colors on the building. Well, the Empire State Building illuminated in Jackie's honor. They lit up in blue and white with a rotating number 42 in the mast. That afternoon, 42nd and Broadway in downtown New York was temporarily renamed Jackie Robinson Way. Jackie Robinson Day since 2009, 2 years after Ken Griffey Jr. initiated the tradition. This year, however, the number itself will also feature Brooklyn Dodger blue. So I think it's a lot of pretty neat stuff for Jackie Robinson Day, which was, again, Jackie, the first Black to start playing baseball. And yeah, it's, you know, again, they do it every year. This happened to be a special for the 75th anniversary. So
Yeah, no, it's a great story, no doubt. So getting back to current days, what kind of players are getting in the news right now, would you say?
Well,
In the Major
what a
League
shocker, right?
Baseball.
Vlad Guerrero Jr., right? You know, he ended up hitting 3 home runs in a game earlier this last week, after being stepped on the hand at first base by Yankees Aaron Hicks in the second inning of the game, and of course stepped on with cleats, right? And he's bleeding, and he was 1 for 1 at the time with his first home run of the night. He ended up with a double, 2 more home runs in a 4 for 4 night. His fingers were taped and bandaged to get through the game. And afterwards he had 2 stitches, and, you know, it's pretty amazing. You know, I love that when a guy just, you know, gets hurt and keeps going, and then he ends up, you know, having a 3 home run game. So
how did he get his hand stepped on exactly?
Well, it was like going to first base on the hit, came back, and then getting back to the bat, and the
Dove back into the bag.
and the player, stepped on him, you know, trying to see if, you know, he can tag him out. So, I mean, it happens. It's part of the game, but the guy just kept going. And that's pretty cool, you know, especially when you hear about all these guys getting hurt and not playing for a while. And like, you know, I mean, that's not a major injury, but hey, your hand's pretty important, right?
Yep.
Especially when you're holding a bat. And so that was pretty neat. We had Byron Buxton, who's a really good player, outfielder for Minnesota. He has some right knee and ankle soreness, and he's taken a week off. Joey Votto, he's pretty cool too. Cincinnati first baseman Joey Votto. He gave some signed cleats to 2 young Dodger fans on Jackie Robinson Day. So, because Cincinnati was in LA playing the Dodgers in a 4-game series, and he actually gave some signed cleats to. There was 2 little boys, and they played baseball, and they were supposed to go to the game the night before. And so because they had games, they didn't. So their dad took them on Friday, which was Jackie Robinson Day. And he went over to give them cleats. And then he realized, he wanted to give them something like a ball or something. And then he realized there was 2 of them, 2 brothers. And so he went and signed cleats and gave each one of them one of the cleats. So of the pair. So that's really cool when they do stuff like that, you know, especially in somebody's other ballpark.
Yeah.
So then we had Javier Baez, Detroit shortstop. He was placed on the 10-day IL with a thumb injury. and they backdated that to the 13th. Also, I had talked about that young Cincinnati right-hand pitcher, Hunter Green. He actually, in a game against the Dodgers, ended up, during the time he was pitching, he threw 39 pitches over 100 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, that's great. You hear a lot of 100-mile-an-hour, but 39 and he didn't even pitch the whole game, right? I think he pitched 5 or 6 innings.
That's pretty the norm of Major League Baseball.
Yeah, exactly, right, exactly.
6 innings.
But he's a young guy. He's just, coming up, and he's actually, that's his home. That's where he's from, is in LA. So that's pretty cool. The Seiya Suzuki. He plays for the Chicago Cubs. He plays outfield, third base, shortstop. It's his first year in MLB, but he went through the first 10 games, batting .429 with 4 home runs, 11 RBIs, 9 walks. He struck out 9 times, about a quarter of the time he had at bats, which isn't too crazy anymore nowadays. But I thought, we need to mention that because we're starting to get a lot more Japanese players coming in and playing, and some of them had some incredible careers, like this Roki Sasaki. Wow, in the Nippon Professional Baseball League in Japan, did some, pitched a perfect game, 19 strikeouts. Then he pitched 8 perfect innings the next time out. We'll probably be seeing him in the pros not too long from now. And I also wanted to mention Brandon Belt, who's a San Francisco Giant. He actually leads the major leagues in slugging percentage since the start of the 2020 season, which was actually a shortened season. But then all of last year, and so far this year, he has a 600. That's pretty crazy. 600 slugging percentage, which 450 is considered pretty good. 550 is considered outstanding. So, I thought I'd throw that out there, and I think it's a pretty cool stat.
So we've covered a lot of players there. How about some teams?
Yeah, we could cover more, but we're not gonna. We're gonna go. We'll just do some team stuff.
Yeah, who's been really hot, maybe who's been really cold, maybe some surprises.
The Dodgers, have been doing great. Colorado is actually right now, as we speak. Actually, the Dodgers were winning 4-0 before the show at about the 6th inning, and Gonsolin actually had a no-hitter for 5. They got a hit off him, and then they took him out. But they were up in that game, which was going on when I came here to the studio. And but before that, they're 8-3. But Colorado is 8-3 at the top of the division. The Giants just lost a doubleheader to the Mets yesterday. They're 7-4. San Diego's 8-5, and then of course Arizona's down at the bottom. The other team, the Mets, 9-3 as of right now in the East in the NL. Atlanta, of course, the World Series champ, and is 6-7, and they're expected to do really well this year. Philadelphia is expected to do well. They're at 4-8 right now. Again, it's early. In the Central, Milwaukee just won today. They're 8-5. St. Louis is 6-3. Cincinnati all the way down to 2-10. Haven't been doing too well there. When we get to the American League, it's all pretty tight. The East, we have Boston, New York, Toronto, all 6-5. Tampa Bay 6-6, and then Baltimore at the bottom. In the Central, Cleveland just beat the White Sox earlier today. They're 5-5. The White Sox are only 6-4. The other teams 4-5, 4-6, 4-7. It's all pretty tight. And then in the West, of course, Houston expected to do well. I've talked about before. I think the Seattle's going to be right there. Right now, Houston and Seattle are at 6-5. The Angels and Oakland are actually at 7-5. Joe, your Oakland Athletics, after just getting rid of everybody, they're starting off not too bad. And then Texas is all the way at the bottom in that division at 2-8. Again, pretty early, but it's interesting to see some of the things that are going on. But again, we've got about 150 games to go, so can't put a lot of stock in it.
Being an A's fan, since you brought it up, I'm going to enjoy it while I can. They are in first place. I just noticed.
Yeah, they're tied. They're tied with the Angels as of right now, and of course, there's games going on. And
yes, I was noticing the salaries, how much they are, and the Dodgers are at 280 million. I noticed the Giants are at 150 million.
Right.
The A's 33 million.
Right. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And I've talked about this before. Of course, there's a CBT I've talked about a lot of times, collective bargaining tax, about what teams pay, if they go over a certain amount. They've raised it. But yeah, the Dodgers are way up there. And we know that it has nothing to do with who's going to win. You still have to stay away from injuries, and everybody's got to play together as a team. So, but it's pretty interesting on the salaries.
Also noticed that there are 9 players by themselves that make 35 million or more, and the A's sit at 33 million for their entire team.
I know it's pretty crazy. Of course, they dumped some payroll too, right before the season. But it still wasn't that.
Just their 3 best players, basically.
Exactly, and it still wasn't that high. Yeah, and hey, they're 7-5 right now, and
gotta love it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
While I can, finally, I guess, Ronnie, do you have any predictions for the upcoming week of pro baseball?
Yeah, Joe, I'm going to give you some picks for tomorrow.
Tomorrow being Thursday.
And I will do more as time goes on. I'm trying to get more up to date on, the pitching matchups, which have a lot to do with it, and having a hard time getting some of that a day ahead of time with some of the sports books and the websites and such. But so I'll eventually be doing that, knowing the pitchers, and be doing some over under run things too. But this will just be a straight up deal for tomorrow. The Yankees at Detroit, I'm picking the Yankees. Minnesota at Kansas City, I'm picking Minnesota. Oakland's at home, and I'm picking them to beat Baltimore. Also at home, Washington, I'm picking over Arizona. Miami at home over St. Louis. That'll be a good game. At home, Seattle over Texas. On the road, Toronto over Boston. And also Chicago over Cleveland tomorrow in Cleveland, even though Cleveland just beat Chicago today, but this is for tomorrow. So Chicago White Sox over Cleveland.
I guess we should finally mention one last thing. Kentucky Derby, May 7th. You love your horses. I don't know what exactly you got on tap.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that like on the 4th on Wednesday, 2 weeks from today, before the show. And I will be betting myself and making picks there for the Kentucky Derby. And then, of course, in a couple of weeks after that, the Preakness, and 3 weeks after that, the Belmont, will be making picks for those also. So I'll be announcing those on the show, and that'll be like 3 days before the actual race, which is Saturday, May 7th, which you mentioned.
Thank you, Ronnie, for the information.
Joe, thanks for having me.
Sponsored by MXE Media. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time for the moments we've all been waiting for, the stories that make us furious about bets that appeared surely to be winners, but in the end, something went horribly wrong and they ended up being losers. It's a segment we affectionately call You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
So Gator, do you have a You Got Hosed story for this week?
Well, yeah, Joe, I'm going to have to go back to Bristol on that last lap where Chase Briscoe took out Tyler Reddick. It wasn't so much that he was leading, and he even said that at the end of the race that Briscoe did what he had to do on that short track, so he wasn't mad about it. But if you had a ticket and you were watching that race, I would surely have to say that you got hosed. But Joe, I do want to say that after that race, Briscoe ended up in 22nd, and he went over and he apologized on national TV to Tyler, and Tyler was a man about it. He said that he would had no animosity, and he did what he had to do, and he probably would have done the same move. So I just thought, after having seen all these fights, I was really sporty. Sport that needs it.
Yes, a lot of sportsmanship there, and you usually don't get that. You're right.
Do you have a You Got Hose story for us, Joe?
Oh, well, I guess so. Yeah, for the second consecutive week, I hosed myself. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned on the show that Scotty Scheffler was the hottest golfer on tour going to the Masters, but I didn't bet on him. Instead, I bet on Jordan Spieth and Brooks Koepka. Naturally, Scheffler won the Masters, and Spieth played terrible, missing the cut. So there's no way I'm betting on Spieth to win last week's tournament after that performance, right? But sure enough, Spieth wins the RBC Heritage the very next week at 40-1 odds, no less.
I hear you, Joe. That's terrible.
As I mentioned last week, the one worse thing than putting money on something and losing is not putting money on someone you like and watching him win. I hosed myself again.
Yeah, well, yeah, you sure did, Joe. I'm sorry, buddy.
You got hosed.
So that's all for this week's show. I'd like to thank my associates, Big Richard Martin, Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon, Marc the Shark Sabella, and Gator Gates, our producer, our engineer, our editor, our junior IT tech, Caden Martin, and everyone for listening. We'd like you to visit our Covering the Field website to check out our many articles and our picks of the day and week. We'd like to remind you listeners to email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com. Give us your feedback, your You Got Hosed moments, and any other comments you'd like to give us, and find us on Twitter at Covering Field. Thank you for tuning into the show, and we look forward to bringing you another episode of Covering the Field.
You've been listening to Covering the Field, a CMworldservices and the Sage production.